Welcome everyone to Follow the Light Music Review. My name is John DeLaurentis, and this is episode 3 of Revisiting the Classics. And I'm really excited about this episode because we're going to be spotlighting an album by one of my all-time favorite Christian artists. And this is a great album by this artist. So before we get into that, I would really encourage you and appreciate it if you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, and please leave some comments about this artist, this album, if you're familiar with it. I would love to hear what you have to say. So do that in the comments. All right, let's get into it. Who is the artist? Well, it's Mylon LeFevre. And this is his second album after his recommitment to the Lord, after he almost died from living the rock and roll lifestyle and drugs and everything. The first one being Brand New Start, which came out in 1982 on MCA. This one came out in 1983, and Mylon, for this album, had switched to the Myrrh record label. And this is also the first one with Mylon LeFevre and Broken Heart. Broken Heart being his band name. This is the first release that has that on there. So, and you can see a picture of them there on the back cover. I think they're all gathered together, taking a picture of Mylon, who's got his back to the camera here. So this is a great album with a lot of classic Mylon songs on it. And let's open it up and look at the vinyl sleeve here. Vinyl sleeve with all the lyrics there. Other side has a nice picture of the band again, and also some road crew, I think, are here. And this album has some prominent guest musicians as well. One of them being Kerry Livgren of Kansas, plays the emulator on this. So an emulator is a programmable synthesizer. Phil Keaggy plays lead guitar. I don't know what song he plays lead guitar, and I have an idea maybe which song he does, which I'll tell you in a minute, but I don't know for sure. Also, the second chapter of Acts are on here doing background vocals, and Matthew Ward of second chapter of Acts has a guest lead vocal on one of the tracks on here too. So who were the band at this time? Broken Heart was consisting of Dean Harrington on lead guitars, synthesizers, and vocals. Stan Coates on keyboards, synthesizers, and vocals. Tim Huffman on lead guitars and vocals. Ben Hewitt, drums and percussion. And Kenny Bentley on bass and vocals. And of course, Mylon is the lead vocalist and plays guitars on here as well. So this is a really great album. Now again, Mylon, I saw him in concert a few times, and Mylon always, of course, rocked harder in concert than he did on his albums. But the albums, nonetheless, always had its share of rockers and mellow tracks on there, and the same is true about here. So this album opens up with a track called Givers and Takers. Great opening song, kind of like a pop rocking song here, written by Stan Coates and Mylon. Great opener. The Power, don't deny the power. This is the final hour, so don't deny the power of love. And then there's a cover version. The third song is called It's Almost Over. This is a cover song written by John David Teams on here. And then one of my favorite tracks on this album is next, Coming Back Again. This one written by Anne LeFevre, Mylon LeFevre, and Dean Harrington. This one starts out like just with this beautiful melodic guitar fill in there and guitar solo in there. And I have a feeling that maybe this is the one that Phil Keaggy plays lead guitar on. Like, again, I don't know, but this is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album. Just a beautifully heart-wrenching song of hope that he's coming back again. He's coming back again. I know he's coming back again. Because my heart tells me he's coming back again. Great song. Then side one ends with one of his signature songs, which he would perform in concert a lot, called Free Man, a song written by Dean Harrington and Mylon there. And that became a staple of his live shows. So that closes out side one of this album. And then the second side I would call the more mellow side. All right, so the first side has a little bit more up-tempo pop rockers on it. But the second side is more mellow, but these are some of his classic songs here, and a great second side. Opens up with "My Heart Belongs to Him," one of his signature ballads, and followed up by the title track, "More." More of Jesus, less of me. By his power, I will be. Another very signature Mylon ballad song. So those two songs open up. Then there's "Children of the King," which is a more rollicking type song that was written by Dean Harrington here. And then the album ends with this beautiful praise and worship song called "Praise Him," and that's him spelled Hymn, where a choir opens it up. And then after that choir does that opening "Praise Him" in the morning, "Praise Him" in the evening, almost like a modern day psalm, then Mylon does a narration of the book of Revelation, so a passage from the book of Revelation, and just so powerful. And then from there it segues into this song called "The Gift," which is the song that ends the album, and Matthew Ward is the guest lead vocalist on it. Just fantastic. Every time I hear that, it takes you to the throne of God. It's just such a praise and worship song in the true sense of the word. A great way to end this particular album, which again is a fantastic album that could definitely use a reboot on CD, a reissue on CD. I'm going to show you in a minute the original CD version of it that came out. But I wanted to also talk about a little bit that came before this. So we said second chapter of Acts on here, and we have to realize Buck Herring, who is the husband of Annie Herring, was very influential in leading Mylon to Christ. And in fact, he invited Mylon to come and do some background vocals on Phil Keaggy's Love Broke Through album. And so he was witnessing to him. And remember, that was in the 1970s. And Mylon continued with his rock and roll lifestyle right up until 1979 with the release of his Rock and Roll Resurrection. That was his last mainstream album that came out in 1979 on Mercury Records. And so it's like, of course, the influence of the Herring, Buck Herring, and then having the second chapter of Action on here makes sense on this album here, that he brought them in, people that were influential. And there's also one of the Kerry Livgren's songs on one of his mainstream albums as well, called "Another Slant." And at some future date, I'm going to do a whole artist spotlight on Mylon and look at his whole discography from the very beginning. Mylon album in 1970, which came out at Cotillion Records, and many people consider one of the first Christian rock albums, features the members of Atlanta Rhythm Section, a lot of them on that. I'll look at his whole entire discography, and we'll talk more in detail. But I did want to show you a couple things here in this video. I wanted to show you the first CD version of this here. And when I said it needs a reboot, I'm not kidding you. This was Murr's CD release that came out. And this is as no frills as you can possibly get. This doesn't even have a booklet. It's just a slip photo of the cover with a black border around it and nothing on the other side. So in the CD version, you don't get the lyrics, you don't get the credits that you get in the vinyl. And then the back tray liner is simply white with the song title. So it's as no frills as possible. However, I'm very thankful to have it. I mean, I think it's quite rare to try to find now. If it's out there on eBay, I'm sure they're charging exorbitant prices for it. But this is the only CD version of this, and I'm really hoping that a label like Gerder Music can license this and get this released and remastered with a nice booklet. Would be fantastic, because this is a really great Mylon LeFevre album that should get a reboot. Some of the songs on here did appear on some compilations. There was a Mylon LeFevre Greatest Hits CD, and this one has the song "Free Man" that I mentioned on it from this album, and "My Heart Belongs to Him." Those two. So the more rocking "Free Man" and the ballad "My Heart Belongs to Him" appeared on that. Then on this one here, another compilation called "A Decade of Love." This one came out on Star Song. This one has the song More. The title track is on here. And it also features, thankfully enough, I'm glad they put it on here, was Praise Him and The Gift, the ending two songs on the album here. And they do sound better on here because this is a later CD. And it has a better sound quality on here. But outside of that and its original CD release, those are the availability of those particular songs. I did want to show you this really quickly as somewhat of a collector's item now. This is the very first issue of Mylon's book, a hardcover book called Live Forever, where he goes through his testimony of the rock and roll days all the way until his conversion or his recommitment to the Lord. And this is filled with all kinds of bands, or photos, I mean, of different bands and artists that he was with over the years. And it goes through a whole bunch of history and how he got to that place of recommitment where after he almost died. And so it's a great book. Unfortunately, this particular first issue of it is sold out, gone, and no longer available. However, you can buy on the Mylon website the paperback version of this that's been changed to a new title. It's called Without Him. And it also has a later picture of Mylon on the cover. It doesn't have this cover. This particular photo here comes from his Rock and Roll Resurrection era. That album that came out in 1979, he was wearing this outfit on it. So that's from those days here. And it has here a picture of Mylon and his wife, Christy, there. So this is a great, I don't know, I've never tried to see if it was available anywhere, on eBay or something like that. I'm sure if it is, it's quite expensive. But you can get the content, you can get the photos on the released version of this, called Without Him, on the Mylon website. So you still get the story, you'll still get all the photos, so I'd highly recommend you picking that up. But this is one of the rarities that I own. I'm so fortunate I bought it when it first came out and got it in its hardcover before it sold out. Again, great album, Mylon LeFevre. More, my Revisiting the Classics Spotlight for episode 3. And I would love, again, to hear from you, your comments about this album. If you have particular memories for it, I got this album when it came out in the 80s and have enjoyed it ever since. I was listening to it again today on vinyl and on CD. And just a great album from, again, one of my all-time favorite Christian artists. So thank you for watching. I, again, would encourage you to please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and please comment. And then you can also hit the notification bell if you want to get content notifications when I put up new videos here. So thanks for joining with me, as always. And I encourage you to please follow the light that shines out of the darkness. God bless everyone.